I invite Dr. Grace Ambrose-Zaken to take the floor. The title of her presentation is Improved Gait in 100 Pediatric Blind and Low Vision Patients once wearing a pediatric belt cane. Please.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for being rated one of the top 5. And it's so grateful to see the other papers about children as well. It's such an important topic. And I've brought one of the belt canes here if anyone hasn't had a chance to hold on to it or to see it. I'd like to thank my colleagues who've worked with me on this research study. And what you can see in the picture here is, in still form, the classic gait of a child who has grown up blind without the benefit of a mobility tool. So what we see is a wider base, the out-toeing, and then she is shuffling, as you can kind of tell by the motion. So she's not walking forward, she's not using reciprocal arm swing. In fact, her hands are held at about mid-guard range. And the question in research has been, when we blindfold sighted people, children and adults, or when we study people who are naturally blind, we find significant deviation in gait. And the question is always asked, what could be causing them to slow down? Why do they walk so poorly? And none of these studies seem to come up with the answer, only to document that in fact blindness does cause gait anomalies, severe gait anomalies. So I'd like to just give you a video. She is in her home. She is 2 years old and she is blind in her safe home. But blindness cannot prevent running into walls. This next child is still walking in a 15-month characteristic wide-base gait. She's at school because she's 3 years old. Her safe school, they moved all the stuff out of the hallway. But you can't move the water fountain and you can't move the wall. And this little girl, how old do you think she is? You can't tell from her gait. She is 3 years old, but she walks like a toddler. And she's praised for doing so, even though it makes her fall down. And this little boy, he doesn't want to walk. And if he's blind, like I say he is, those toys that look so motivating to come towards if you're sighted would be tripping hazard for children who have a mobility visual impairment or blindness. And I would like us to adopt the understanding that a mobility visual impairment is that which is you cannot rely or trust what you are seeing for walking. It doesn't provide you balance, protection, or information. So here he is. She's going to call him. But he doesn't have visual balance, so he feels unsteady, rightly so. But when you provide him with a source of touch feedback, he can feel his way. He doesn't need to see his way. And that, ladies and gentlemen, has changed the metric for blind walking significantly. It's just in the simplest form possible, a white cane that has a static cane arc. Now, my collaborators did all the hard work of mapping the video, but we mapped 100 children. With the MediaPipe software, we could then look to see the metrics of gait change in the before and the with videos. So please don't ask me what any of that means. I could try, but this is just one section of the data because it's one child against one child. So my before with my with. This is 25 of them. In the blue is the speed that has gotten incredibly faster, significantly faster once wearing the belt cane. And we all know how slow those children can walk who are blind. They almost don't want to walk. But what we found is in the first 100, without controlling for motor impairments, we got 2 of the significant outcomes in step frequency and foot mobility. And then when we controlled for a physical motor impairment, that was 87 subjects, we had significantly improved speed, length of step. Just overall, each of our measures was significantly improved, frequency, etc. Now, that's because they can feel where they're going, they have tactile anticipatory control, and tactile protection. So here's that little girl again, who is 3 years old.
That's exactly
Why is this preferred over the belt cane? Here she is with the belt cane. She looks more mature just in that instance, just in the control of her body, just in how she's making choices about what she is going to do and how she's going to control her cane. Much simpler for her to use than any other device. This is the final video. It's a little longer, and what I want to say is if I haven't convinced you by now, this won't convince you either. But remember those children as they struggle to get off a mat, a welcome mat. She is so unable to tell if that is a step or a flat surface. Even the hose takes many steps to get across a hose that is so narrow it shouldn't. But then she gets free. And many of you will say, see, I see, she's walking, it's great. And you forget about the difficulty she had on this welcome mat. And we forget about how scared she was. She didn't know. This is enough for us. But is it enough for her? Here she is now getting the information 2 steps ahead. Now she can problem solve her way across that hose. And she can now pay attention to it in a way that she's never paid attention to it. As she turns back, her teacher recognizes, you're wanting to know what you just stepped over. And she's happy to tell, yes. And all of that rough foliage on the sidewalk, no problem for her. She just continues forward, protected, informed, feeling balanced as she makes her approach. Now there's more video, but I want to just direct your attention to safe mobility o'clock. What I want us to leave with here today is the understanding that the long cane was really a great idea in 1945 for men who were going to return to work and their only challenge was blindness. But her challenge is her gait. She's still got a very stiff-legged gait, still very wide gait. And while she is fooling everyone, she's not as effective as she could be in her ability to get about. And we should have a standard that says not only will you get about, but you'll feel confident, you'll feel balanced, you'll feel protected, you'll feel respected. And that's what white cane's promise is to everyone that can learn how to swing it back and forth. That is the promise we're making every child when we spend hours trying to get them to swing it back and forth. We are promising them they'll one day feel safe. But I tell you, as a mother and a grandmother, the time for a child to feel safe is right now. It should be easy. It should not be walk first, then feel safe when you're ready. It should be, I will make you feel safe today, right now, for as long as you need. Thank you.